Welcome back to the Outfitter Connection podcast. This week we have on a good friend of mine, Mr. Kyle Purdy with KD Outfitters. How's it going, brother?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. How's the weather up in Colorado?
Man, it's a little too warm. Yeah, all of our snow's melting. Katie, my wife, she was out there sun tanning on the deck today. Yeah, it's not exactly lion hunting weather, but it's nice.
Oh yeah, it's like 70s here right now, and it's supposed to get up into the 80s and 90s this week, and I'm not looking forward to that. I miss my cold weather from this year. Uh, one
Yep,
night one night out at the ranch, it was like 17 degrees at night and like 28, 30, something like that during the day, and it got a little chilly.
perfect. That sounds perfect. I like it where I got to wear a hoodie and a hat.
Yeah, I was all bundled up in my
That's
heavy coat and stuff,
perfect.
and
Yeah, I don't like to be sweaty.
no, you guys came out when it was damn hot.
That was the hottest I've ever been in my whole life, and I grew up in Saudi Arabia.
and 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 you're a firefighter. If you don't mind, Kyle, kind of tell people a little bit about what it is you guys do at Katie Outfitters.
So my partner Derek and my wife and I, we run just a fully guided operation on private land in eastern Colorado. We do archery rifle, antelope, archery rifle, deer, mule deer specifically. We do have some nice whitetails out here, but not a lot of people come out to eastern Colorado wanting to kill a whitetail. But we do have them if somebody wants. And then our big one has been or what we're most passionate about is the mountain lions. We do fully guided mountain lion hunts, just here on the Front Range, and yeah, that's what keeps us busy in the wintertime.
Absolutely. And you guys mainly chase those with dogs?
100% with dogs. Yep. Yeah,
100% with
we got
dogs.
two packs with dog or 2 packs of dogs, and yeah, so we'll go out with a hunter after a fresh snow and see what kind of tracks we can get into, and then let those dogs sniff them up.
That's awesome. What do you have in your pack as far as breeds? Is there a specific dog you like to use, or is it more of whichever one seems like an up and comer, that's the one you guys are using?
All of ours are mutts. They may look like a certain kind of dog. I've got a handful that I mean, they really look like they look like plots.
Hmm.
Some real pretty brindle plots. I love those. My partner hates them. But they're just mutts. They got red bone, red tick, blue tick. They got everything in them. We'll hunt anything that'll hunt. And even with our breeding, we'll breed best dog to the best dog. We could care less about colors. So we got every color of the rainbow in our 2 packs. As far as newcomers, we have had some pretty good dogs this year. One of mine, she's a brindle plot. Her name's Polly, and she was slow to turn on, but man, she has been, I mean, just kicking it in the britches these last few hunts. And then Derek's got a Walker dog,
Hmm.
Bonnie. She's 2 years old, and man, if she keeps up on her pace, she'll be one of the better dogs I think I'll ever see. So we're pretty lucky right now that we've got enough age in our packs to give us the confidence, when things get tricky. And
Yep.
then some of these youngsters that are really paying attention and learning and kind of have afterburners.
Absolutely. You need that dog that'll like not only just jump on the track and go, but you also, whenever that cat starts getting away, you've got to have a dog that'll keep on it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Those older dogs, their experience, it just can't be replaced. Those cats when they start getting tricky up in the rock piles, um, that's really where their age and experience comes in, because those younger dogs, they just don't have that experience to teach them to make bigger circles, go around, and keep looking. So, yep, you are right.
What do you guys have like bang dogs and trailing dogs? Ones that are nose to the ground running, and then you got one that trees it, or do you guys have are all dogs kind of universal?
So as far as bobcats and lions go, they're all trail dogs.
Okay.
Um, It's not like pig hunting. And I know a couple guys. There's a guy out here, a local guy. He uses bay dogs for bears. Some big old suckers, some Greyhound, Airedale crosses, I believe. But lions just don't. They're not aggressive like that. You're not having to push them up a tree. Lions go up a tree because they have a small heart and lungs,
Mhm.
and they're not marathon runners like the dogs are. So once it turns into an actual foot race, a lion can only go about 400 yards before it's got to pop up a tree just because it can't breathe anymore.
I got you.
So a catch dog isn't necessary for lions.
I got you. I feel like that's good information to know because down here in Texas, like you hinted on with the hog dog stuff, that's kind of what I know. So anything, a lot of the questions are going to kind of be a little bit geared towards the hog dog and figuring out where the lion dogs come into play and how those work versus catching pigs.
Sure.
So when a client sends in his deposit to you guys and you guys call him and say, "Hey, we're on a track," how does that hunt all come together? Is he kind of waiting around in town till his days come up for you guys to call, or is he guys with you guys when you're driving around running track and all that?
Oh yeah, he's gonna be as tired as I'm gonna be that day. I'm gonna make him wake up at 2 a.m. also. In Colorado, you the hunter has to be there when the dogs are turned out.
Okay.
So I can't turn the dogs out, catch a lion, and then call a guy. So yeah, they're with us. We do all of our hunts the way, unless the guy's really being specific that he wants to catch a lion in the dirt. Being no snow on the ground. We sell our hunts as 5 days of snow hunting. So as we just kind of watch the weather, and when we see a storm coming in that is going to drop, at least a couple inches of snow on the ground, we'll bring that guy in, and yeah, we start early, and as soon as the snow stops, we'll head out and drive the roads and look for a track.
Is the Houndsman up there, is it kind of like a saturated market like it is with a lot of the outfits in Texas where it's like you can't drive through the hill country without hitting an outfitter? Is it the same way with the Houndsman up in Colorado?
Oh yeah, there's a oh man, yeah, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting 20 houndsmen. Um, and that's been a pretty recent thing, I'd say, within the last 8 years.
Mhm.
Our just the population in the state has exploded in the last 8 years, and there was a lot of houndsmen that came with. But when I first started this, you could go out and you wouldn't see another houndsman in the entire forest. Now, um, I mean, you go out and see 20 guys.
Really? Do you ever run into
So
the situation where like they're cutting the same track you guys are? Well, you guys are on private, right?
half of our stuff is private, half of it is not. It's been cordial in our area where we hunt, but more and more, man, you just hear these bad stories. I mean, about actual fist fights happening up on the mountain. I found it first. I mean, it's getting nuts out there.
I can only
Yeah,
imagine, especially.
I
Go ahead.
wish I could paint a prettier, more harmonious picture for you, but it's just not the way it is, unfortunately.
Right. And you hear a lot about that. Like, if I could correlate that to anything that I know a little bit about, it's kind of like Arkansas duck hunting in the timber on like the Cache or the White Rivers. You've got 60 boats waiting to launch at 4 a.m. And as soon as 3:59 hits, there's people diving, trying to put boats in the water, and it's a mess. I probably will never go back to Arkansas and public land duck hunt. If I ever do it again, it
Yeah.
will be private ground because there's just it takes the fun out of it worrying about like, am I going to get in a fight over launching a boat, or is somebody going to slash my tires because we were here before them or we were putting in at the same time? I'm out on all that. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
not worth the headache.
Yep, I agree. I've done a really good job of staying out of staying out of that. I mean, it's like a Shark Tank out there anymore, and I've got a small little corner of the world that I hunt with a couple of older guys, and I mean they were gracious enough to kind of let me hunt in their area.
Mhm.
And man, there's no fights over there. We're all cordial. I'll shake hands, and I've been really lucky that I don't have to deal with some of the stuff that I hear about. Man, it's a sportsmen eventually have got to come together. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that's kind of the purpose. It's one of the purposes. This podcast serves multitude of different purposes from, but it to bring the outdoorsmen together, to bring outfitters on where clients can connect with them or feel like they've started to build a relationship if they're considering doing a hunt. So that's kind of neat that you touched on that. It's we have to come together, like you said. It's we're losing our rights every day, it seems like.
Yeah, and yeah, I could only dance around it for so long, but yeah, we got to figure it out because the other team, they're completely solidified with each other. Their solidarity is second to none, and they're going to beat us if we let them.
Right.
But we had a deal this year. We partnered with another great outfitter. His name's Kyle Lopez with KB Outdoors. Real big outfit, real successful outfit out here. And we had a scenario where he has a pile of ground and no dogs.
Hmm.
Well, we got dogs and we had no ground. We kind of ran into a deal there, and so we joined forces. And just the stuff that we were able to do with him, just one season. I mean, he did phenomenal. We did phenomenal. His customers were happy. Ours were happy, and it's just like that. I mean, just a couple of guys putting everything aside and just joining forces, for the same goal. It was incredible. So that's just one story of three guys.
Hmm.
If we could all do it, we'd be much better off.
Absolutely. And that's building that connection with somebody else in the industry. Like there's plenty of food on the table for everybody to come eat. Obviously, we
Mm-hmm.
want the dirt bags pushed out as much as we can. They're always going to come in because there's people that it's more about the money than it is the conservation effort or the hunt or the experience. But those people will eventually weed themselves out. We don't really have to do too much of weeding those out. It's making sure that the guys that are in it for the right reason stay employed long enough that we can start making a better difference or a bigger difference against the antis.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep, absolutely. You got to have good ambassadors for this sport. And the dirt bags aren't the ones that we want out in the front.
no,
Like you said, they take care of themselves. Whether it's DNR that takes care of them or whatever, they don't stick around in one place very long.
no, they're pretty good about give them a lead of rope and they'll hang themselves eventually.
You said it perfect. That's exactly right.
Speaking of like rights and our hunting privileges getting stripped away from us up there in Colorado, you guys are kind of going through that right now. Your legislation up there has essentially banned lion hunting for this last part of the season, right?
Um, they so it's good. It hasn't happened yet, but
Okay.
they did end, and I don't even really have an answer why, but they did. We normally have an April season, and they took it away this year, and I'm not sure why. But this November, it is going to the vote of the people to ban lion and bobcat hunting in Colorado.
Is there is there any organizations petitions go so far, right? Like a solid petition can get the recognition, but I feel like there's organizations out there when stuff like this comes up that are really at the forefront of stopping these types of legislative moves. Is there anybody that you know of or anything like that up there in Colorado that is fighting back against this lion ban in April?
Yeah, there is one guy. His name's Dan Gates. I don't know him personally, but he's phenomenal houndsman, phenomenal trapper. I mean, he's a true outdoorsman. Not just a single facet. He's not just a muzzleloader hunter. I mean, he really is out there in every season doing it all. But he's the only guy. And I feel I should know this. I forget the name of his organization, but his name is Dan Gates, and he's the only organization that set himself up correctly to have lobbyists, where he can legally have a lobbyist, and
Okay.
so that's how he's fighting this. Yeah, the only way to fight this right now is donating to Dan Gates.
Okay.
Um, the only thing he can do is educate right now because they got the signatures. Or I'm sorry, they're getting signatures currently.
Okay.
I don't anticipate they'll have problems. So he's just trying to educate people, but it is ultimately going to a vote. So there's no, they circumvented the legislation. So it's just a vote, man. It's
Yeah. That's
ballot box
it.
biology.
Yeah. Well, and what I'll do for our listeners too is I'll get his information from you at the end of this. I'll
Yeah,
link it
yeah,
down in the show notes whenever I post your episode. I'll post it in there as well, like links to go sign the petition, to go follow Dan
yeah.
and his organization and stuff like that, to help kind of push that more. I'm a pretty small platform. I don't know how much reach I have, but even if 10 more people sign that thing that maybe didn't know about it, that's 10 more signatures to get this thing kind of thrown out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we need everything we can get right now. Yeah, it's scary stuff, man. We just had the wolf reintroduction, and
Mm-hmm.
there's been problems after problems with that. They didn't do that legally. They didn't jump through the hoops they were supposed to. And so I think the best thing we got going for us as far as this lion ban is that what moderates there are left in this state. I think once they seen the wolf reintroduction and how bumpy that was, and now the lions, I think even the moderates are kind of looking at this going, "Whoa, too much too soon. Like what's going on here?"
Right.
So hopefully that has maybe not changed anyone's minds, but at least just says, "Why don't we just pump the brakes for a little bit? This is a lot too soon."
I stand on the very extreme side of the wolf thing. I am not for reintroduction anywhere
Mm-hmm.
for any reason.
Yep.
Um, I've never had a firsthand experience, but basic wildlife biology, conservation, all of that. If you have an elk or a moose population and you reintroduce wolves, you're not going to have an elk and moose population anymore.
Correct.
They started out with what, six that they released up there with you guys?
Oh, what was it? Maybe was it? It may have been. It was somewhere around there. Yeah.
And under this guise that these wolves are going to stay in the area that they put them in. Well, any outdoorsman, anybody that knows anything about hunting or ecology or anything like that knows that those wolves are not going to stay in that 20-mile zone that they put them in. Rumor had it that one was shot in Wyoming a month after they released
It's
them.
it sounds like they've debunked that wasn't one of them.
That wasn't one of
That's
them.
what I've
Okay,
been
well,
reading. That's what I've been reading. CPW did put out a letter that they're saying that was not one of theirs.
okay, well, I mean,
But they have traveled. I mean, they have absolutely have traveled. They've already traveled to northern Moffat County. Yeah, they've covered some ground already. They're headed that direction for sure.
well, and what's crazy is like really the only thing I know on the wolf side of things is they reintroduced a bunch of them in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and it's been a few years. But people aren't killing elk, they're not killing moose, they're not seeing whitetail,
Mhm.
and it's under this guise of like, oh, we got to reintroduce the wolves, we got to save the species. In my opinion, wolves are zoo animals. They are the apex predator amongst apex predators, and there's nothing that's going to stop them. For a conservation agency or your parks and wild, we call them parks and wildlife, um, DNR, whoever that governing body is, for them not to allow proper pack management for wolves is asinine. It
Mhm.
doesn't take long to go from 6 wolves to 20 wolves to 40 to 80 to 160 to 200 wolves. It doesn't take that long,
Mhm.
and
No,
eventually
absolutely.
you're going to run out of game to hunt.
But it's not that there's nothing that'll stop them. I mean, a trapper can stop a wolf dead in his tracks. But
Absolutely.
look at how many states have gotten rid of trapping or currently working on getting rid of trapping. Um, I'm a big trapper out here in Colorado, in a land where there is no trapping left. Um, but you've got to do it, man. Those predators, you have to manage them. I mean, managing them is a double-edged sword because you have to manage their numbers, but then you also have to manage for the numbers you have to manage for their food. You
Mhm.
know, deer is easy. Deer, you just have to meet meet your quotas of your your buck to doe ratios. But because deer don't eat other animals, so you have to do it. It's a complete double-edged sword, and for some reason, the United States right now is going through this really weird romanticized period where we've romanticized predators, and I don't get it. We're it's like we're assigning human characteristics to animals, you know, just like Disney did. It's like we're trying to Disneyfy the whole forest, and it's not going to end well for the animals.
No,
These people that vote for these things, man, they're never going to see one. It's never going to impact their lives, but it is impacting. I mean, the entire forest and the people who live and work there.
the people that actually enjoy it, not sit behind some cozy desk in the middle of a suburb in their $750,000 house. That, oh, they're passing a law to reintroduce wolves. I want to vote on that because I love wolves. They're majestic animals. They're beautiful. They're this or that. Sure, they may be all those things, but they are awful on deer populations, elk populations.
I've always kind of thought that we got rid of them for a reason.
Correct. I could not agree with you more.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't like to hear that, but
No.
I think it's
Well,
kind of the
see,
truth.
my dad, and it's funny because my dad is very pro wolf, right? He's always loved wolves, always thought they were the coolest things in the world. But he also used to hunt. But he doesn't realize, maybe he does, but maybe it's just this, like you said, Disney-fied deal about him. And we've had some heated debates over wolves in the house
Makes Thanksgiving a little awkward.
occasionally, especially when it gets brought up because it's like I've got no love for him.
Yeah, no, I don't
I,
either.
I think the best way to admire a wolf is its fur hanging up on a hanger.
Oh, it looks beautiful as a wall hanger. I agree.
Now, well, and something else, the downside to banning mountain lions in Colorado, look at California. They did it a few years ago because, hunting's bad in California. But then they spent $1 billion bringing in national trappers or state trappers and to thin out the mountain lion population because it went through this crazy boom after they banned it. Why pay somebody billions of dollars when you have hunters that are willing to pay you the same amount of money to go do it?
Yeah, it's a sad it's a sad way of thinking. I don't know the money figures of how much they pay people to kill them, but when there are problem lions, they absolutely do go kill them. And they use guys with hounds to do it. But as long as the public doesn't know about it, it didn't happen. And we
Right.
have the same thing here. We have a completely unmanaged, or not managed, unmanaged, a poorly managed bear population here in Colorado. We can't hunt them over bait, no spring season, and no hound hunting. And all summer long, these game wardens run around killing bears all summer long. They can't just ignore the fact that they're a problem. Um, but the general public has no idea that they are shot and left out in the forest. But and I honestly I don't know if they care anyway because all of this it's done under the guise of better management and that this is for the animals, but they don't care about the animals. They care about social consequences. They care about you and I's rights to hunt being taken away.
And it's a sad fact and a sad reality of what we're facing. Because where does it stop? Let's say worst case scenario, they take away your mountain lion hunting in Colorado. What's next? Are they going to go after the elk? Are they
Oh,
going to go after the whitetail?
no. So some of these anti groups, they're already on the move. They're already sitting in the CPW season structure meetings, and they're already weighing in on muzzleloader being at the same time as archery. So they're already trying to separate the muzzleloader and the archery guys, pin them against each other. They're just going to keep going. They will not stop until there's no hunting.
Right. It's one of
You
those
know,
deals
like
you can't give an
that's the
inch.
the big contention. No, you can't. You know, and That's the big problem with this mountain lion ban is that the title of it is it's a ban against trophy hunting, trophy hunting mountain lions and bobcats. So they've changed the definition of trophy hunting. You and I both know that there's no legal term for trophy hunting.
No,
You know, out here with big game, you can't just take a set of horns or a cape and just leave the rest. That's already illegal. That's
right,
poaching. That's not trophy hunting. There's no such thing. But they're changing the definition of it. And so you get rid of trophy hunting lions. What says that you can't get those same people to vote and get rid of the trophy hunting of elk?
right.
They're and every state it's sad it's going to a vote, but every state is going to feel the result of what happens here in Colorado. They are laying the groundwork for how. I mean, they are writing the book on how to get rid of lion or how to get rid of hunting in a state.
And
That's why we need those guys like Dan Gates to educate the public and hopefully get a few moderates to swing our way and preserve what we do.
yeah, and trophy hunting gets this weird moniker, right? Like, oh, for the uneducated or the people that may not be involved in the industry, trophy hunting to your average person sounds like, oh, all they do is take the head and the cape, like you had mentioned. But if you really look at a trophy hunter, we're not going for the youngest. We're not going for the does, the cows, the ewes, the nannies. We're going after that big, mature animal. The trophy is just an extra added bonus if it goes over so many inches or so many pounds or something like that. We're after those mature animals. We don't, if we shoot all the young ones, we're not going to have something to hunt next year or 10 years from now or 20 years from now. Like, I'm not a
Right.
very
It's
big
man.
proponent. Go
You're
ahead.
describing what we call management.
Exactly. And that's these these antis or these far leaning greenies or whatever, pick your term, pick your poison for whatever they are. They lean so heavy on like these buzzwords, trophy hunters, etc. And it's not that. It's proper management practices.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. When you and I met, I came out and hunted with you, and I killed an aoudad that isn't considered trophy by any definition. Um, but to me, he is.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, he didn't. I mean, I forget what we taped him at, but he was something like 27 and 28. But he was super old. Um, which, as we described, we're not shooting the young ones. So to me, that's a trophy.
Absolutely.
So I'm very proud of it. It was good management. It was a good hunt, and it does look great on the wall. Just because it looks great on the wall doesn't mean it should be illegal.
It's so crazy to think of where like my grandpa and my dad, they didn't really have those worries of their hunting rights being taken away. It was pretty well solidified. Everybody had a gun in their back window of their truck. Everybody took 3 or 4 days off during, the ruts to go hunt. And now it's like, man, are my kids even going to be allowed to hunt whenever they get old enough to do it on their own? Is the
Yeah.
heritage that we all love and share, is it even going to be a thing, or is it just going to be a distant memory?
Well, if we don't start fighting, the answer is that yes, that it will just be a distant memory.
Yeah.
You know, I try and tell guys all the time, I'm not a duck hunter. I've shot some ducks here and there, but I'm not a duck hunter. I could truly care less about it. But I'll still fight tooth and nail for those duck hunters to be able to go duck hunt.
Absolutely.
We are to the point now where you don't just get to be a second season elk hunter. You need to support it all.
Right.
If you need to be a sportsman, if you don't get to pick that, well, I don't really like houndsmen. Well, you need to put that aside. You need to fight for their rights too, because you are next. We have got to
Absolutely.
come together, stop picking and choosing what we think should or shouldn't be, or you know what I mean. Put it all aside. Put away that Austin hunts with a crossbow, and go fight for those crossbow rights. Otherwise we're dividing ourselves. they're not even having to divide us. We're showing up divided.
Yep. We're slowly whittling, and when I say we, guys that have the same guys and gals that have the same ideology that you and I do, right? We've all got to stick together. But there's that other side of our community that, oh, crossbow hunters shouldn't be allowed to hunt during archery season. Muzzleloader hunts shouldn't be this. Shotgun shouldn't be able to do. It's like, no, 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 stop for a second. We're all in the same damn team. Pick your sports team. You don't see your pitcher fighting his catcher, or the first baseman or the linebacker fighting the quarterback. They're on the same team. They have the same goal in mind: win the game. If we can extend our hunting out for another 50 years, we've already started winning without another right being taken away between now and then.
Right. And we're behind the eight ball. We are very behind. Like you were saying that that your dad and your grandpa, that they didn't have this to worry about. I think they did. We just didn't realize it yet. If we'd have been fighting like we are right now in Colorado, if we'd have been fighting like this, back, we'll just say back in the day, we wouldn't have lost trapping. We wouldn't have lost spring bear season. We wouldn't have lost hound hunting bears. It's always been there. They are gaining traction for sure. Society is a little softer than it used to be. So yeah, we are. We're just in the thick of it now. But I do believe that if we'd have been fighting before, we may not be here right now. And so that's why we just need to come together and fight like hell now, so that when your kids want to hunt, it's still there for them.
Yeah, I agree. It's just weird. It's a weird place that we're in. There's no. It's really hard to put it into terms or words that the things that we fight about today are going to impact tomorrow, next month, 5 years from now. And if we don't start fighting for the hunting community as a whole, we're going to lose all of it. It started off with the trappers, the bear trappers across the state. I think there's only 1 or 2 states you can even bear trap in anymore.
And I couldn't tell you what they are, but yeah, it's not very many.
And it started, I'm not saying that the whole ordeal started from that, but all it takes is for them to get rid of, like you were saying earlier, get rid of one thing and then go after the next and just start breaking it down until what? The only thing we can hunt with is sticks and spears. Well, that got, spear hunting for certain animals got banned in several states after a certain viral incident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't take much anymore. Doesn't take much anymore. Yeah, guys need to put it away and just support it all. Because if you give an inch, they take a mile.
Yeah.
And we, not only that, we need to start gaining ground. I'd like to see, and you hear about it every now and again. I think it was New Jersey. They got a bear season back, which is great to hear. We need to start doing that, but we're 100 miles away from that if we can't even agree that all hunting is hunting. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what weapon you're using, what season it is. I mean, you've got to fight for the guy next to you as well.
There's a lot of truth in that. It's sad to see that our community has broken itself down that far, where we do fight with each other. The antis don't even have to show up prepared for war. They're already breaking us down. And it may not be them breaking us down directly. We're breaking ourselves down in our own communities by these subgenres of how we hunt.
Yep, I completely agree. We're doing their jobs for them right now.
Yeah, we're almost making it too easy for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, like you said, man, there's enough at the table for everybody, and there's just a lot of guys that feel that there isn't, and that's why they fight these other hunters so much. But you wish you could just show them that there is enough. I mean, you and I mean, both outfitters, and yet here we are being buddies. Like there's enough out there. It's just guys need to see it.
Absolutely. With the potential lion ban in Colorado, what ways other than the obvious does that affect your operation? Like, if it does go through, what happens next? What's the future look like for KD?
Pretty good portion of our hunts is lion hunts. And I know I can speak for my partner Derek when I say that that's where our passion is. It's with the lion hunts. It's with the dogs, and these younger dogs that are showing improvement. The older dogs that are letting the younger dogs step up. Like, I mean, when you watch a pack work, that's where our passion is. Um, we love hunting without a doubt. We love the deer hunting. We love watching people be successful and, see bigger deer and antelope than they probably see in their area. We are pretty blessed in the area where we work. Um, so yeah, we will, watch it go away. Hopefully we can, we got some stuff in the works that we're trying to take our lion stuff, or at least our hound stuff, down to New Mexico.
Okay.
Back to my home state. Never thought I'd go back, but here I am working on it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about being a houndsman. You can't get it out of your blood. I mean, once you do it, it's kind of a part of who you are, and I just can't see me, just quitting now. So, yeah, our hound operation may have to go down to New Mexico. But yeah, other than that, for the deer and the antelope and the elk, we do some elk as well. But we'll stay strong with that out here in eastern Colorado.
Awesome. I love to hear that. Like, love to hear that, in the event that this does happen, you guys do have something working to where you can continue doing it, because I love watching your content of your lion hunts and seeing what you guys are doing on that front, because I do feel it's very important. It's just as important to check the predators as it is the deer, the antelope, elk, everything else you guys are chasing.
Yeah, man.
Let's
I appreciate it. Glad you watch that stuff because I'm not good with computers or anything, and so I put those videos together. They're not the greatest, but I do get a lot of messages from people saying that my music selection is awesome.
it is. I do
And
enjoy
there's a
it.
lot of Fleetwood Mac in there. I don't know if you've heard that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not mad at that at all.
What temperature is it there in your storage unit?
I'd say like 60.
Oh shit, that's easy.
Yeah, that's
It's just
easy money.
Texas, dude. I will forever never. It will never leave my brain how hot it was when we went for that hunt. So like, assume it's that temperature. All I know.
Yeah, no, it was that was hot. That was like beyond comfortable. The hunt that was a couple weeks before y'all's, it was, God, them two boys from Michigan, like hats off to them. But good God
Oh
Almighty,
yeah, I remember them.
oh, it was awful, dude.
Those two, they were younger dudes, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was the hottest hunt I've ever been on, and it didn't matter what we did, like hunt all day, go hide in a cave during the midday slums of it, and then at night it was still 95 degrees.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah, we
couldn't,
got
like,
lucky on ours. At least we got rain.
yeah, yeah, and that's the rain down there is few and far between, except for week before's last hunt. I woke up with an inch of water in my wall tent.
Oh boy.
Mm, it was damn near a river flowing through camp, and I was like, oh no. Like, I woke up in the middle. When I sleep, I'm dead. Like, it's lights out, dead to the world, and that was rough. Like, all my clothes were wet that whole week. Did not have a dry piece of clothing.
Which says something because I can't. God, I was sweating profusely, and all my clothes were still dry at all times. That was hot, man.
Yeah. Getting back into the show here, what pivotal role, and this is more of an educational point from your point of view, what pivotal role does hunting lions serve in conservation?
Well, like we said, or like I said earlier, kind of that double-edged sword. You got to manage that animal for lions to be as successful as they can be. And there's a lot of good data coming out right now that Colorado Parks and Wildlife has actually done a very good job of managing the lions. They've kind of been on a slight rise for a long time, decades, just a slight rise, um, which is what's best for the animals. Secondarily, you have to manage it for what they eat. We can't just um, blindly manage for lion success and ignore the fact that a lion kills a deer or a deer or an elk per week.
Mhm.
Which is basically what we're doing at the Wolves. We're blindly managing for the success of one double-edged creature,
Right.
So the Lions, it's a lot similar, to the Wolves. Is you've got to manage their herd and the herd that they eat. And that's going to take a lot of data and a lot of input from these professional biologists that we have on payroll. Um, that's why I get so frustrated that we're going to vote on these things. I mean, we have people that go to college, and we have these, we got these game and fish officers on the ground who talk to the hunters, talk to the houndsmen, talk to the guys who are out there seeing stuff. And we're just going to ignore all that information to let some people vote on it. So yeah, I mean, all predators, you have to manage predators, or you will run out of their food, which their food is our deer and elk. It should go without saying, but for some reason, people can't have a hard time understanding that.
It does seem like people do have a very hard time grasping the concept that if these predators go unchecked, their food source is going to run out. When their
Mm-hmm.
food source runs out, they run out of food and they start coming after your livestock, your cats and dogs. Um,
They get
there's
closer to
been,
the houses, closer to the ranches.
which in turn turns into encounters with people,
Mm-hmm.
to whatever severity it may be. Because at that point, if a lion decides that it's going to come after you, you no longer have control of the situation.
No, man, those things are so fast and so strong. It's unbelievable. I couldn't count how many times I've had a lion, jump out of a tree or jump out of a rock hole over me, across me, and that thing is already 40 yards past me before I realized what happened, let alone before I realized I even had a gun, if I had a gun. You know what I mean? Yeah, once you get to that point, man, like you said, you are way out of control.
Yeah, you just, if that lion wants to break left and go left and you're standing in the way, it's probably going to go through you.
Yeah, yeah, you'll have to have a special edition podcast. Have my wife on. You can ask her about. I took her on her first lion hunt,
Mhm.
and I ended up pulling a lion out of a hole by its tail, and it didn't go well. But you could ask her about that. She's laughing at me in the background.
That's funny. Grab the cat by the tail, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It seemed like a good idea at the time, trying to save some dogs some stitches, and
Mhm.
and I quickly realized that all those stitches were now firmly in my crosshairs.
When you guys go out and you've got a client that's hunting cat, are you guys targeting the males to preserve the future generations? Because you shoot a male, that female is going to find another mate, another male to breed with, which prolongs the species a little bit. Or do you guys kind of target just old and mature cats?
Huh. Yeah, you definitely. Yeah, we did. We don't. Yeah, we try not to kill a female. If you kill a female in an area, it really has a very noticeable impact.
Okay.
Um, the toms, they just, man, they year round, they follow those females around, as they go into heat.
Mhm.
They're just like house cats. They breed all year round. Um, so if you take a female out of the area, you're taking the reason for the toms to be in that area away. So yeah, you can screw yourself by killing some females, and then you got no reason for toms to be there. There's been situations where we've caught females that man have one eye and four teeth in their head. They're so old. I don't have that's a good management practice. I have no problem killing her. Um, we've caught females with caught one with broken hip, missing
Oh,
missing limbs from other fights. I mean, just some real bad carnage from fights. I have no problem shooting one of those if the hunter's happy with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, as a general practice, yeah, you're just looking for, those big mature toms.
Now, is that something that you guys practice very heavily, not just KD Outfitters, but as houndsmen across the board in Colorado? Is that something that that you guys all kind of agree on collectively, or are there some that I think I already know the answer to this question, but are there some that don't practice that same management technique?
Yeah, it's definitely something that some guys disagree on.
Mhm.
Yeah, guys will disagree on it. On the surface, I think everyone will agree with it, but then a guy's got that new young dog that he really thinks needs to see something get killed, and guys will go ahead and kill that female. I'm myself and Derek, we're more in the camp that I don't think a dog needs to ever see anything get killed, and it'll hunt just fine.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's just another one of those things that guys will disagree on.
yeah,
It's legal here in Colorado. We don't have a female sub quota. It's legal in all units to kill a female, so it's not illegal, and
right.
it kind of goes back to what I was saying is we got to stop fighting. So if a guy kills a female, I may not love the idea, but he was legal. Congratulations, good for him.
Yeah, good for him and his clients.
Yep, yeah. I'm not gonna, like I said, we need to come together. We got to stop being so bickering about that. There are some states like New Mexico, they have a sub female quota, whereas you may have a large quota of lions, but then there's a much smaller quota of females. And you hit that female quota and the entire unit shuts down. I do think that's pretty solid management.
Hmm.
Um, so if you're in New Mexico and you're going to kill a female, it's just you might want to be aware of what you might do to a pretty good chunk of ground out there. But it's legal and it's ethical, so I don't raise a fuss over it.
Right. What those? So this is something that's new to me. The quota thing. Do you get alerts like, say you pull your lion tag or you have a lion tag? Are you put on like a text alert system that says, "Hey, we're down to 5 females left in this unit, or we're down to 2, we're down to 1, units closed"? Is that a
No, I
thing, or is
wish
it you have
that'd
to
be
call
pretty
in?
nice. No, it used to be you had to call in and
Okay.
they would update an answering machine. Now this
Oh,
was
okay.
just a couple of years ago. It was an updated answering machine that would just go through all the units that had closed. Now they do have it online, and so you just go online in the morning and make sure. I mean, but the guys who hunt seriously and hunt all the time, you know what your quota is. You know what got turned in yesterday. But yeah, you do legally have to check every day before you go out.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being the poor guy that like they're on a cat, they shoot a female, and the quota closed 15 minutes before that.
Well, yeah, then there is a little bit of a period of grace that because that guy didn't know. He didn't
Right.
he didn't act maliciously. So there is a few ways where you can end up one over the quota because of stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, you
And,
just got to check it every morning before you go out.
and I wouldn't assume that that happens often where quotas get overdone.
You know, it does happen.
Hmm.
I would say often.
Really?
I mean, you'll see it a few times, a few units every year. But I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier that, the CPW, they do an excellent job of managing the lions. And I think they prepare for stuff like that.
Oh, I got you. So they
They
might,
give themselves a little bit of wiggle room.
yeah, they might give themselves like a cat or two leeway in those quotas.
Hmm.
Is that what you're saying? Okay,
Yep. I
that
believe
makes
so.
sense.
Yep.
So if they say like, this unit's got 60 females, we're going to allow 10. Their ideal number's 8, but they're going to allow for those 2 extra or 1
Yeah.
extra or
And our
whatever.
and our quotas, our quotas are much lower than that. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, like where we hunt, our quotas are, I mean, 7, 5, 9. I mean, they're much lower than that. Yeah.
Wow. So that does add, like we were talking about, that it does really give a solid piece of management practice in there.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
and it also adds a very solid piece of competition.
Oh,
You
I'm
know,
sure. You want to be that guy whenever that quota comes out that you're hitting the first cat track and the first male or first female or whatever they're after that day. You want to make sure you're in, out, and done.
Yep, yep,
That's,
yeah. No one wants to have the client that doesn't get to go hunting because the quota ran out.
now that raises another question for me. What happens in that instance? Does that client come back next year, or how does that all work out?
Well, for us, there may not be next
Well,
year.
true.
For us, yeah. We're obviously gonna work with that hunter and figure something out that works for him.
Right.
Um, you know, that's just a. I mean, that's just how it goes. Those quotas they go away. That's what
Sure.
they're made for. So yeah, so like we ended up we tagged out our last hunter yesterday, and there's two or one left on the quota in our unit, and so we won't sell another one just so we don't run into that. But
Right.
yeah, it happens, and you just got to work with the guy, you know.
Absolutely. And that's awesome that you guys like you have the ability to go take one more, but due to management practices and the potential of running out of quota, you guys aren't necessarily in it for the money, although the money is nice. You guys are in it for the love of being a houndsman, a sportsman, an outdoorsman. I think that says a lot about your operation.
Yeah, we that's it's why we started it. We thought, you know, we figured that outfitting was about the way that we could put our dogs on the most amount of tracks,
Yeah,
and that's how we started.
I love it, dude. Absolutely love it. We're coming up, just maybe a smidge over an hour. What one piece of solid advice do you have for any of our listeners out there that are tuning into this, maybe either about the lion hunting or just about hunting in general? What's like your one piece of go-to advice for listeners?
Man, I think with what we're dealing with here in Colorado, my advice would be that get involved. That's my advice. Get involved. It's the antis are more prepared. They have more money. They have more lawyers. They are more prepared for this fight than we are. We got to start now, or this will go away. This will just be a distant memory and some old, some old pictures on our cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wish I had something more fun and lighthearted advice, like give me a call.
Yeah,
But no, man, we got to get involved, or this will all go away. They aren't gonna. There's not a benchmark that anti hunters have of okay, that's good enough.
right.
They won't stop until it's gone, and they have all the momentum in the world right now. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I say is get involved and fight for the guy next to you. Don't just fight for if you're a muzzleloader archer or a muzzleloader whitetail guy, don't just fight for muzzleloader whitetail. Fight for the guy next to you. Fight for the duck hunter. Fight for the turkey hunter. Fight for the houndsman, the trapper. Be a sportsman. Fight for all the sportsmen. Don't just pick and choose because if we give them an inch, we lose a mile.
I agree 100%. If you don't mind, let listeners know where they can get in touch with you if they are looking to book a Colorado adventure. Because I think what you do is more an adventure hunt than it is, like people book it. And this isn't talking shit about where I live, but you book a hunt in Texas on a high fence. It's a hunt. But what you guys do is, and I think that's why you and I get along is because I enjoy the backcountry style hunting
Mhm.
the most, right? Like I love all types of hunting, but backcountry kind of roughing it, getting it, grinding it out is the kind of stuff I love. And so if one of the listeners wants to call you or shoot you a message on social media, how do they get a hold of you, Katie Outfitters, the whole works?
So we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. You can get a hold of me there. I've just got my private cell phone number on there. If a guy really wants to just get down to brass tacks and actually talk, how we used to do back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can send me a message, send me a text. I mean, we're available for all of it. But yeah, social media is usually the best.
Okay, awesome, man, awesome. Well, Kyle, I've had a blast. I think this episode was very educational, and I definitely learned quite a bit from this episode. Knowing what
It
things are at
was. It was
stake.
very. It was very educational and serious. We'll have to do. We got to do another one where we have more fun. Today was more serious.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do another. We crack, pour our favorite beverage and sit back and cut up a little bit.
Yeah, there we go. Like we did in camp.
Absolutely. God, what I wouldn't give for another sheep camp with Kyle.
Oh, it's happening.
Let's
Would you
do it.
whether you like it or not? I'm coming back out.
Okay. I can't wait to have you because there was never a dull moment out there.
No, no, yeah, yeah. So we'll do another same spirited type of podcast here in the future.
Yeah, maybe do one in person around a campfire or something.
Now we're talking.
Or
I
hey,
like it. I'll
with as
I'll bring the
much as I
marshmallows.
oh perfect. I love marshmallows. I'll bring the chocolate and the graham crackers.
There we go.
Hey, and you never know. With as much as I travel, I might end up on your front doorstep one day.
You're always welcome. Doors
I
open.
appreciate I appreciate that, brother. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and we're gonna sign
Thanks for
off.
having
And
me.
absolutely, yeah. Again, man, thank you so much. I think there's a lot of value in this episode.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.